So we're doing the Lawgiver card today. It's probably the most difficult one in the pack. I seem to have got the hard ones in the beginning, and this is good because if you get the hard stuff at first, it forces you to put everything into correct alignment, not to miss anything out. And I feel this is going to be to give me that, give us that. Okay. Now you'll see I have many hats around me here because I did notice, I went back yesterday, and I watched the cards video, the original cards video, and all the cards are shown, the 100 cards are shown on that video as they were made on the original A4 sheets before I cut them. And I noticed the date on that was October 2023. Okay, so it was over a year ago. And I noticed that I was wearing this hat when I made that video. Okay, now this is my old hat before I got this hat. And this hat is also reasonably new. I got this about the same time. Now I probably had a different hat. I lost my hat. I lost my hat when I was on the boat. My other hat when I was on the boat last time, because the boat is the end of the trip. That's the end of the pilgrimage, and you've done everything you need to do then, and so you're ready for a new hat. And so that's when, after that, I got this hat, but I felt that this hat was not good enough. It wasn't the right kind of hat. And so I'm just going to go through all the different hats, because I notice there's a phenomenon with the hats. If I talk with this hat on, I'm softer, I'm easier to listen to. If I talk with this hat on, I'm very powerful, and it's too much. It's just too much. Okay. And so I'm just showing you that this was the equivalent of this hat when I made the cards. Okay, I made the cards. I can't really wear this hat anymore. Perhaps I'll just take it down to the boat or something and use it to replace one of my hats down there, just as a rain hat or something like that. I don't know what will become of this hat, but it will become, its purpose will be something other than this one. Okay, I'll get rid of that hat. Now, this is the hat of the philosopher, really, the hat of the philosopher. So when I'm doing my philosophy work, which is what these cards are, philosophy, expounding on wisdom, so this is the hat that I wear, and you see how it comes out in a certain way, all right? Now, if I want to go to the shop, if I want to go shopping to the shop, I don't put any of these hats on. I put this hat on to go shopping to the shop. And this puts me out of my office, okay? So I've still got a hat on, but I'm not the philosopher, I'm not this, I'm just an ordinary person walking down the street, okay? And so I'm out of office. Now, which hat I put on when I walk out the door tells me what I'm going to be doing. So if I'm just going to be going to the shop and incognito, I will find myself putting this on. I know there's no work to be done in my role as philosopher or this one, okay? Now, sometimes when I go out, I put this hat on. So now I'm going to be I know if I put this hat on and go out, I might go to the shop as well, yet I might also do some work in the shop, or on the way to the shop, meet somebody, and there's some other thing I can expect to do. Okay, so that's this, if I've got this hat on, right? Now, if I put this hat on, okay, this is the hat of the Lawgiver. You know, when I got this hat on, I'm laying down the law, right? And so I'm going to take it off quickly because I'm too strong in this hat. I'm too strong in this hat. If I've got no hat on, then I'm just completely out of office. Okay? And I don't wear a hat when I go to sleep. Because I'm coming under God, that point, yeah? I take my own hat off. I'm no longer working for God. God is helping me, healing me. I'm coming under God. Okay? Now, I said yesterday that this guitar was no good because what was coming out with this guitar was not tunable. I have another one. Okay. Now, I don't know why I'm doing this with you, but I am, because what these are, all these things are, these cameras, the guitars, the hats and everything, these are what you call objects of rank. And I have more than one guitar because each guitar has its own purpose. For example, the last guitar I showed you is really designed for accompaniment, for playing just chords and things like that. You can do a bit of that on it, but this guitar is more suited to that. Okay, so it can double for what the other one does. I'm just showing you that there's no duplicates in what I have. Everything has its purpose. And this guitar, it's a nylon string. I only have two nylon string guitars. This one is more of a lead kind of blues style guitar. The other one for playing lead guitar, and the other one is for, it's got a wider fretboard, so I have a lot of problems doing chords because my fingers are so fat, and so I need a wide neck, and the other one's wider than this. This is only just manageable. So I cannot make a D7 chord harder. Okay. I don't need to, for the type of work that I use this one for. So all these objects of rank, now they can be replaced with higher level instruments, and just recently I got a better lead guitar, electric lead guitar, and I got a 12-string guitar, which I hadn't had a 12-string guitar before. And you'll see that people on the journey that we're on, they gravitate to 12-string guitars towards the end of the journey. Okay, and so you'll see that Pete Seeger played a 12-string guitar. He got his 12-string guitar after a pilgrimage. You know, he went on a long pilgrimage to England and that, and studied a lot of stuff, and he had his guitar, a 12-string guitar, especially made for him, and came back from the pilgrimage with his 12-string guitar, and then did his big work, you know. And blind Willie McTell played 12-string guitar, probably the greatest blues man, guitar player of all. Okay. Rivaling Robert Johnson. Robert Johnson didn't play 12-string guitar because he was still a young man. He was in his 20s, and so he hadn't got to that point yet. Leadbelly, one of the most powerful singer of all, he played 12-string guitar. To give you some sort of idea that there's a common pathway, they lead to the same objects. Yeah. I have a lot of cameras because I studied and made photography my art when I was a young man, and part of the job of the artist when he gets older is to maintain the history of the arts so that it doesn't get lost, and that's why I keep all these old cameras, look after them, keep in the history so that they don't get thrown in the dumpster or something. And I have a lot of old musical equipment too, which I keep, amplifiers and stuff like that, also to keep the history of that. And I have a lot of old computers that I keep too, and old operating systems on them and stuff like that. So I can turn the computer on it with Windows 95 on it, for example, or one with Windows 98, and you can see what that looks like and actually use it. And so this becomes part of the work, if you like, as you pass down the journey of life and up the staircase on the great chain of being. Now the words had all been spoken, somehow the feeling still wasn't right. And still they continue on through the night, tracing our steps from the beginning until they vanished into the air. Trying to understand how our lives had led us there. Trying to understand how our lives had led us there. To become a lawgiver is a very great thing to become on the pathway. And I'm not a musician. I'm not, that isn't my art. It's just that, so I'm not good at this. I'm no good at it. And it's just simply that I've been studying it long enough to be able to get by on it. But it's not my forte, it's not what I do. Philosophy is what I do. And every philosopher has to learn and study music, yeah. And it's been a very difficult business for me because I wasn't born with any natural abilities. My parents didn't sing or anything like that, and when I was a child I was tone deaf because when I was born I had to spend the first 6 months of my life in an incubator, separated from all the sounds in the world, and so I was never able to develop an understanding of tone and that sort of thing when I was a child, which I would have done if I'd been with my mother and all that sort of thing. So they put me in what was called the cat's chorus when I was at school as a child because I couldn't sing it. I was tone deaf, couldn't sing a note at all, just didn't understand it at all. And it took me my whole life to study like so hard to actually get anywhere at all with music. And so I thank God that I can do the little bit that I can do on a guitar and just barely sing. I'm not, it's very difficult for me because I also have an operation on my trachea in here as well, which also made things difficult. So I explain this to you because it doesn't matter whether you're no good at music. You still have to learn it as part of the journey because it's a necessary part of purifying yourself, making yourself ready to be these other things, which is philosopher and ultimately lawgiver. Okay. Now, if we look at the lawgivers that came in the past, we'll see that Jesus was a great lawgiver. He brought the law, thy will be done, thy kingdom come. This was the greatest law that he brought, that only by following the will of God does the kingdom of God materialize on earth, i.e. people start to find salvation, and then when all the people are saved, then the planet can be put back into the Garden of Eden. That's the principle of it. Whether it will ever happen, probably nobody knows, not even the Father. And Jesus said, I and the Father are one. And to be a lawgiver, you need also to be able to say that. You need to be able to say, I and the Father are one. And I can say that because I've had the same initiation that Jesus had to get that. Okay? And it's something that has to happen to you. Nobody can explain that to you. You either have it or you don't have it. And those who have it know. And the Buddha was also in the same position. And you might call these people the fathers of the church. That's what they are, the church fathers. All of the church fathers were lawgivers, and they all could say, I and the Father are one. All of them. Krishnamurti never had any connection to organized religion. His job was to teach that organized religion was a mistake. That was his law that he gave. His law, Krishnamurti, is all organizations are fake. We cannot have any organization, and he disbanded his organization. So he was a lawgiver. He gave a new law to humanity. Now, when I was becoming a lawgiver, I met a gentleman and his troop of people that he was moving together with, just a small band of people from Russia and Ukraine. We were living in yurts together with these people, and he gave me the law that they were working with. Their most important law was everything is perfect and happening automatically. Now, I presume it was his law. Maybe if he got it from somebody else, somebody else brought it, and he understood it. No matter whether you give it or you repeat it, you still become the lawgiver, because the lawgiver needs to be familiar with all the laws of nature. And we're not talking about laws that thou shalt not do this and that sort of law. We're talking about the laws of nature, which also say thou shalt not. Yeah, and so to obey the laws of nature, what that does is that keeps you in the love of God. Okay, you love yourself and you love everybody else who's in the will of God, and you feel sorry for all of the ones who are outside the will of God, and God said, I never knew you. Okay, or I knew you but not anymore. Not anymore after what you did. Okay, now for somebody to lose their law-giving status or their philosophical position on the great chain of being, a lawgiver has to demote them. A lawgiver has to demote them. They have to come to meet on the great way somebody like me, who then pulls them up and says, that's wrong, you shouldn't do that, that's a mistake. Yeah? And in the process of hearing those words and being told the law, they automatically are pushed down out of the pathway of salvation onto the pathway of damnation. And now they have to learn that law that they were breaking. They have to learn how to accept that, how to understand it, how to accept it, how to practice it, before they are now back on and onto the pathway, the upward pathway. And so what happens is most of these people fall off who don't even know what's happened to them, because they don't know what I'm telling you now, okay? Because I'm giving you the law of this. It's never been given before, and so as a lawgiver, I'm like the guys that give the first law, yeah. And those people who receive the law, their job is to repeat the law, okay, to preserve the law. He's also the lawgivers. They're giving it to the people. Not necessarily, it doesn't matter whether it comes from God directly or whether it comes from listening to somebody expound the law of God, and then you know it yourself, you've learnt it, you've practiced it, and now you also can give that law. So I say, thy will be done, do the will of God. And so I'm giving the law, but I didn't originate that law. None of the laws originated with the actual... Well, perhaps they did. Perhaps they did. The brains had to be made in order, ready to receive the law. The law comes ultimately from God. The law comes from God because it appears in the mind. But the mind has to be prepared for it by many experiences to receive the new law. It has to recognize it in the universe. And it needs to become aware of what's going on around it, observant to the signs in nature, to read the signs in nature and be led to discover the new law. Right? Okay. Right, now I want to come back to this card because you'll see what keeps the person within the love of God is to fear the law of God. Now they say fear God. What is the way to salvation? Is to fear God. That's the first law, fear God. What they mean is fear the law of God. Because if you break the law of God, just like if you drop something and it lands on the ground and breaks, it's going to happen. Yeah, you can't break the law of God and get away with it. You're just going to experience, you're going to lose the love immediately. And you can lose other things too. You can lose your lady and you can be all by yourself. Okay. I'm going to take 5 now because it's quite a lot. I'm going to light that candle. Now you can see that as long as you've got people breaking the law, you're always going to have old lawgivers, people who rose quite high in the ranks, end up on the downward pathway, end up in the devil's department, okay? And these are people who have learnt some spiritual truths, yet they've made some mistakes along the way, and so they found themselves going on this demonic pathway, right? And they knew about this in the New Zealand Maori, knew about this, and they had 2 types of tauhanga. A tauhanga is like a holy man, a prophet, which is a philosopher, and a lawgiver, okay? And the lawgiver, the Maori lawgiver, the tauhanga would say, it's tapu, you cannot go there anymore. It's been messed up by the humans. You're not allowed to go there anymore. And he'd tell the people this, and they would obey him. And if they failed to obey him after he'd told them this, they could die if they went into a tapu place. They actually did die, yeah. It's rather remarkable. And so they knew that there were light tauhangas and there were dark tauhangas. And so what they called a dark tauhanga was a lawgiver that had fallen and was on the demonic pathway. And what these people did was they practiced witchcraft. And so you could go to a dark tauhanga, and if you wanted to get somebody else's wife, and then you want the person to die, so that you could have his wife because you'd fallen in love with her or something and you wanted her, right? This is evil stuff. Then you could go to a dark Tohunga in the Maoris and you could get them to do spells and incantations and stuff like that to cause the person to die and enchant the woman into your possession. Okay, so what these people taught was that you manifest your own reality, all right? The devil's pathway, okay? Because if everything's perfect and happening automatically, what is there to manifest? Everything's perfect already. I'm not becoming anything in time. I'm living in eternity. The eternal moment provides everything that we need. If we think outside of the eternal moment, to the future or the past, oh poor me, I didn't have enough money this month, blah blah blah, oh I've got to make more money, manifest my reality. No, it doesn't add up, yeah? Either everything's perfect and happening automatically, or it isn't. Everything's imperfect and nothing's happening in my life, yeah? And if you think nothing's happening in your life, well then you've got to start to try to make stuff happen, and this is the way that it's the devil's pathway. And you're going to be put together with all the other people doing like this, and you're going to be putting forward an image of yourself, worshipping an image of yourself. I'm a fortune teller. Look at me. I'm gonna wear some special purple outfit and tell people's fortunes. Yeah? Read their palms. Okay. Tell them what's coming in their life. Do I need to say any more? Do you understand the difference? Can you tell a green tree from a cold steel rail? Can you tell the difference between heaven and hell? Now, at the highest level on the devil's pathway, the highest level on the devil's pathway, on the demonic downward journey, at the highest, the worst one of these, the devil himself or herself, you can't tell the difference, hardly, unless you're an expert like me. You can't tell the difference between me or them, okay? Because they look good. They look good, see, because we have to exclude them all. You see, this is a fake law. They're proposing the fake law, you manifest your reality. That's wrong, that's fake, okay? Your reality is coming from God. If you're manifesting your own reality, there's no God in that universe, you understand? God said, I never knew you. And it's not thy will, it's not God's will that you're doing. You're doing your own will. You're forcing your own will onto the world, okay? And in that process, you're probably telling other people what to do, And this is called NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming. And these people that are on the downward pathway, these devils, if you like, witches, practicing witchcraft, male witches, female witches. I think they call the male ones wizards and warlocks or something, I don't know. But generally they belong to a coven, a witches' coven, which is a group of people that operate together and support each other's fake claims. And all ascribe to the same fake law. They're all manifesting their reality, right? And there's many, many more of these than there are the genuine lawgivers, because the genuine lawgiver is living in poverty, chastity and obedience. He's not fornicating with every man and his dog, yeah? And so it brings to mind an example of this. Have you ever heard of Harvey Weinstein? Harvey Weinstein was one of these people who fell from the way And all Harvey Weinstein wanted was to manifest his reality, you know. He wanted to manifest sex with all the nice, pretty young women. And he just did this. He would say, what they do is, they say, oh, come to my place. They tell you a lie first. They say, there's going to be a party at my place. And then when you get there, there's nobody there. You say, oh man, the other people, they must have gone somewhere else, you know. So, just go inside the house and sit down over there, and I'll be with you in a minute. Okay, now that's NLP, because what they're doing is they're telling you what to do all the time. They're telling you what to do. And so you haven't even realised it. You sort of said, you've got to watch out for this stuff. You really have to. And so now you're sitting. Now you've given up your will. You know, you want to do, you don't know whether you want to sit down or stand up, yeah? Now, all of a sudden, you're sitting in the chair that they've told you to sit in, and you can't move because now you're waiting for them to come back. And then, when they come back, they've got a bathrobe on, okay? They're out of their clothes, they've got a bathrobe on, you know, and they say, oh, could you give me a little massage on my shoulder? My shoulder's got a bit of a twitch in it, you know, can you give me a massage? Do you mind, you know, can you give it? So they're demanding stuff. They're telling you what to do, and the next thing is just lie on the bed over there for a minute. I'm just going to go. It's NLP, neuro linguistic programming, and they get you to bed and they have sex with you. All right, if you allow this programming to take place, and this programming is witchcraft. There's actually it's called a dark tohunga. Will practice witchcraft to get what they want. And what they want becomes worse and worse and more evil until a good lawgiver comes and sorts them out. Right, sorts them out. Now, it's very interesting because how this karma of this passes from one generation to the next. Because Mia Farrow played the part of Rosemary's Baby in that very, very sick, terrible film of Roman Polanski that Sharon Tate got murdered over. Right. Now Mia Farrow, she had a relationship with Woody Allen, and Woody Allen was a pedophile. And she knew this and she left him, and she took her son with her. And her son, turned out that the son who had witnessed Mia Farrow, her karma, what she'd done by Rosemary's Baby, having the baby of the devil and all this kind of stuff, well, many of her children died and bad things happened to her children, but one child was given to her, one child. I think I don't know who the father is, you check, I think his name's Ronan, and her name, Farrow, Ronan Farrow. He's the guy who brought the law through making videos, stuff like that, to Harvey Weinstein, okay? Interesting how the karmas, out of the error comes the solution. The good young lawgiver appears, you know, from Mia Farrow, who supposedly was giving birth to the devil, you know, in these terrible movies. Mia Farrow lived a terrible life. Multiple partners, the terrible stuff. And so, where the fake lawgiver will take you, the dark tohunga, where this person will take you will be into sex with multiple partners, yeah, a coven, sexually practicing group sex, all this sort of stuff, sadomasochism, prostitution, all sorts of bad stuff, all that stuff, you know, it's all a downward journey. And the real lawgiver, the true lawgiver, you can tell who they are, because they're like Pete Seeger. Pete Seeger had one lady his whole life, and he lived to a ripe old age, and they died together. Okay, he didn't commit fornication. He practiced chastity with his one wife, okay? And so this is how you know the lawgiver. He has a one partner. He is true and faithful to that one partner. And unless he has that partner, he cannot give the law, right? He's not going to get the law, he's not going to get it at all, because the law is coming. See, I've got Lawgiver, Fear, Lawgiver. Fear the man, the lawgiver. You have to fear the lawgiver. If I put that hat on over there. And the partner of the lawgiver is love herself, yeah? And so together, these two opposites, the lady and the man, as a couple, on a long journey that may lead to the 12-string guitar. I have another 12-string, I have an electric 12-string guitar in Germany. So, but this one is a greater 12-string guitar, so it's my second 12-string guitar. It's an acoustic 12-string guitar. So, if you become a couple lawgiver, you're probably going to have a 12-string guitar, because I did when I started doing this stuff. I got one, yeah. And there you go. I take 5. Okay, so I said that if unless you have a lady with a 12-string guitar, you're not going to be a lawgiver. You'll see that the difference between a 6-string guitar and a 12-string guitar is that there's 6 pairs of strings, so that each string is a pair of strings. This is a symbolism of the 12-string guitar is a couple. Every time you strum it, you get 2 strings. You get 12 in all. So you're getting more of everything. So this is what the power of the couple does. It gives you more of everything. And it's proof, if you like, that somebody got it wrong if they have no partner. So you always have to look and see if somebody's telling you something and expounding on some truth or some law of nature that they're telling you. Look and see, do they have a partner? Are they a male and female partner? Or are they 2 lesbians or 2 homosexuals or whatever? Or no partner, or just mixing it up all together. Bisexual, group sexuality. What are they? How are they? What's their life like? And don't trust anybody who isn't a good couple like Pete Seeger. Don't trust anybody, because they can only lead you down the dark side. Now, I just wanted to talk about this Fear and Lawgiver, okay, because as I wrote these words, I made a mistake with the foo here, which led me to just leave the U in and just continue the word fear, and then that inspired me to write Lawgiver, and then I noticed afterwards it says foo in the ear. Now foo is the first 2 letters of the foo ka, yeah? To get the foo ka. Now ka is a fruit, and foo is a bad stuff. You know, get out of here. Foo ka is coming in your direction, yeah? And so foo ear means you get foo in the ear, alright? So that's what the lawgiver does. He gives the people foo in the ear. They don't like it. They hate the lawgiver. They hate him. If they love the lawgiver, there's something wrong. He's not giving the law, yeah? Not when he's dealing with the demonic side. He stands and he says, foo, go, get out of here. You're on the dark side. Don't come here. Don't mix with us. Yeah, they're getting it in the ear, and that's the male aspect. And the female aspect, love Eve, and so the child, you tell the child, don't do that, blah blah blah. And then the child goes running off to his mum, right? And his mother says, "Oh, come here, my little one. Don't worry. Your dad doesn't really mean it. He's just telling you what to do." And so these two, this is so basic, you know, I have no idea. People have forgotten about male and femaleness, and it's a controversial subject now. It's not controversial with me. It's not controversial with the children of light, with the children of God, the sons and daughters of God. It's not controversial with them. They know that ladies are ladies and gentlemen are gentlemen. Yeah. And if you say to one of these people on the downward pathway, if you say, "You're a lady," she says, "Don't call me a lady, I'm a woman." Because a woman is a fallen lady, a lady who fell downwards. And a lady's like a gentle woman. No, she's not. She's a lady. A lady is a very special thing. Na, da, lady, la is the, da, the father. Na, da is the father. Because the couple, the gentleman and the lady, are not two. They're all the father. The father, when the gentleman says, "I and the father are one," he's saying it on behalf of both him and his lady, because his lady is actually the mother, the great mother of the universe, and the great mother and the father are one. They're not separated. They're one and the same. They're just divided into two to come down here. I don't know. How much can I tell you? All I can say is that the law is the highest thing. The highest thing that you're ever going to come across is the law. And the highest thing that you can do, and it's painful to have to be the lawgiver. And I'll tell you why I know this is the lawgiver's hat, because I'll put this down. I'll put it away. I want to tell you about the first time I wore this hat. The first time I wore this hat. Dare I put it on and tell you? Dare I put the hat on and tell you? The first time I wore this hat, I went to visit my lady in Germany, to be a bit careful, and I booked, this one, I should have wore this hat, yeah, I would have been a lot better off. I might have got to Germany in this hat, but I put this hat on, and when I got that to the bus, I never made it past the second bus. I got a bus from Bromyard to Hereford. I never made it onto the coach, the National Express from Hereford to London, because there was such an evil man driving the bus, and I had to help some poor people who had no ticket and missed the previous bus, and had to try to help them to get on the bus. But I was wearing this hat, and the bus drivers were getting obnoxious and trying to tell me what to do, and I just got really, really strong and had to lay the law down to them, and they ended up not letting me on the bus, so I didn't actually go to Germany. Yet in this moment, I'm going to take the hat off now. I'm going to take it off. Okay, take it off, because it can be too strong. I need to tell this in a good way. Okay, what was I talking about? I hardly remember these things when I've got this hat on because it's another department really. Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. There's a time comes, there's not many true, real lawgivers in the world, not many, because it's very difficult to attain such a level on the pathway to salvation, because you just got to walk in the will of God all the time. Live in poverty, chasten obedience. Whoever does that anymore? Whoever lives like I live, like Jesus lived, like the Buddha lived, like Krishnamurti lived. Who lives like this anymore? And so there are not many of these lawgivers, and so what we have to do is we have to meet the devil himself at certain times. Okay. Now, if a place can be going up. Okay, so God can say, I'm gonna shift this place from going down to going up. All right. And so there has to be a sign that instead of so let's take Glastonbury. Let's say I have to shift Glastonbury from going down to going up. Right. I had to do this work, yeah, because there's only one of me, and there's my counterpart in Glastonbury, the dark shaman who eats gold, you know. That's what they do. They're sort of the opposite. They eat gold, liquid gold or something, I don't know, terrible. Anyway, I have to meet this guy, and I have to fight him, wrestle him, and throw him out of the circle at some spiritual gathering in front of all the people. And so I make the sign, and it's a big test for me. I do this to get through my initiation. I don't do it often now. I'm not so in such a severe way. But I had to push him out and show that the light overcame the darkness. And now there's a sign made in the universe, and now that area, Glastonbury, can move, instead of going downwards and people learning their lessons in a downward direction, they can start to move forward. And the Summer of Love, I think it was 2007 this happened, I'm talking about, and that inaugurated the Summer of Love in 2007. I had to do that work, create the Summer of Love in Glastonbury at the music festival, the festival there that they have there. And I have to do I have to go the other way too. So I have to be defeated. I have to be defeated by the dark. It wasn't the same person. It was in Glastonbury. It was actually a lady. She was a heroin addict, and she had just to tell me, "I got to go, man. I got to get out of here. You have to. I don't want to see you around here." But attack me. And then I had to suddenly realize, this is God telling me it's time to go, yeah. And so what happens is I just get my sleeping bag, and I'm out of there. I'm on the way, and so I ended up going over to Europe and so on, and left Glastonbury to go down to learn this lesson in downward direction, because the man of light doesn't need to be any place where it's going down. Going down. He'll be moved somewhere else where it can go up, because why wouldn't he? So places change from going up to going down, and from going down to going up, and it's the lawgiver has to take a part in a play, the play of life, and meet the devil himself and go through this process to make the sign. And this is what I did when I wore this hat for the first time, okay, on that bus. And I had to overcome that guy, because I did overcome. He seemed to overcome me, yet I laid the law down and stood my ground, and he went away. He went away. And perhaps he needed to come to meet me, because where he was going to, where he lived, was going down. Okay. If he defeated me, then Hereford was going down. if that's where he defeated me in. So perhaps it did both, I don't know. It was a most unusual situation because normally I leave, but in this case I was leaving, but I remained behind, and the bus left and took this guy away on it, but I wasn't on his bus. It's interesting. The two people I helped, tried to help, they ended up on the bus. They stole my seat and gave it to them. So there you go. It all means something. And so it's an unpleasant work to do this, yet it's necessary to pass your initiation on this way. And this last time, the one with the bus, was the mildest form I've ever had of this. It was difficult, yet I didn't have to do things over the top. I'd learned not to fight these people. I hadn't learned sufficiently just to not get involved. And perhaps I needed to get involved because I was wearing the hat for the first time and I needed to prove myself in this position. So, to not question the world, everything's perfect happening automatically, and it's all good is coming out of everything. Out of this perfection, you say, well, how can it be perfect? Well, it is perfect because it's got to be perfect for the whole world. And it means it's got to be perfect for the world first, then it's got to be perfect for the nation you live in, then it's got to be perfect for the group of people that you work with, and then it's got to be perfect for your family and the couple that you're in, and then it's got to be perfect for each one of you, yeah? And it can only be as good as all these parts of the whole play their part, yeah? And so if there's many people falling off the way, the world's going to be messed up, isn't it? And it's only as good as, it can only be as good as the lawgivers are, as many lawgivers there are who can actually deal with the situation and put those breaking the law into their place. And if this doesn't happen, then the world sinks into lower and lower levels of depravity, and there's not a lot we can do with it. All we can do is do what we're called to do in the will of God. And that at the moment is making these videos for me. And there's obviously no more useful thing that I can do with my time. And if you become useless to God in the devil's department, so that the only useful thing you can do is murder somebody, God can make you do this. God can make you, it'll be like the devil talking in your head. He'll say, go and kill that person over there. You know, this is what happens. Don't take my word for it. You can see the people who have committed murders, how they say they heard a demonic voice in their head, and it told them to do what they were doing. Yeah, this is not regarded as an excuse, but this is what causes the unpleasant things that have to happen. The things like what happened to Sharon Tate, the murders, the Tate murders. Somebody had to feel like committing those murders, and that feeling, that desire to do those things, that's coming from God. It's hard to accept that, but that's the truth of it, because it's all perfect. And there's something those people did that deserves that. And Sharon Tate was with Roman Polanski, who made this very, very bad movie, Rosemary's Baby. She was going to play the part of Rosemary's Baby, but that other woman, whose name I can't remember, she must be the devil herself. What's her name? Mia Farrow. She ended up playing it. Look what happened to her afterwards. So you make your bed and you lie in it, and that bed can cause you to do all sorts of things. Look what happened to Harvey Weinstein. He's in prison now, and I bet some really, really bad stuff is happening to him with the other inmates in there, because they're going to go, oh Harvey, come over here and let me blah 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 you know. And I mean, you know, his life is going to be hell. He made hell on earth for many, many young ladies, and so you get what you deserve in the end. He didn't even think he was doing anything wrong, you know. He said, oh, maybe I've got a problem in the end, maybe I've got a problem. What's happened to him, he probably doesn't think he deserves it. Yet he's suffering it because you have to pay off your karma for what you did. Yeah. And in the end, these people get caught. Yeah. They get caught in the end. The paedophiles and so on. They get revealed in court. They end up, some bad happens to them. Yeah. And if you're a false teacher, some guy can come and just shoot you, like John Lennon and all that stuff. You know, give peace a chance. Yeah. Not fight the war against the fake law. I think that's about it. I hope that's enough for you to understand the Lawgiver card. There's many things that I could say, yet it's a long video. And I hope one day you get your beautiful lady and can become a prophet, a philosopher, and a lawgiver together with your 12-string guitar. Thanks for watching. Well, I'm going to pull the next card now for the next video, just so that we can see what's coming. If you subscribe to the channel, you'll get the reading for the next card. Thanks for watching. Right, now I'm going to put the next card. I'll put this one away. And this card I'm going to be doing in my next video. So let's see what that card is. Dark bag. Okay. Dark bag. The dark side of the altar. We'll come to this soon.